The Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe, Ucaz, has come of age, driving the vision of empowering urban local authorities for sustainable service delivery during the past 100 years. 100 years of existence is not a mean achievement. It is therefore a befitting tribute to Ucaz's 32 members for the local government fraternity at large to partake in the association's centenary celebrations. Ucaz has evolved to become a voice of all the urban local authorities in promoting excellence and good corporate governance. Established in 1923, it later went through a few name changes, which included the Local Government Association of Rhodesia and the Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe. After the country's independence, the association started as a loose forum of municipalities in 1923 when councils used to meet and discuss matters of common concern. The association's founding members are City of Harare, City of Bulawayo, City of Ntare, City of Gweru, City of Masvingo, City of Kadoma, Bindura Municipality, and Shabani. Mr. Charles Katiza, the former Secretary General of the International Union of Local Authorities Africa section from 1992 to 2006, and Mr. Samson Mombeshora, the first Secretary of Ucaz from 1981 to 1998, revisited how the association worked during the colonial era.
It was very difficult because the association was responsible for urban areas. The African section was neglected. The rural councils were not part of the local government association.
City of Masvingo's first black town clerk, Mr. Tsunga Morris Mangami, who started his career during the colonial era in Gweru, further underscored that during the Rhodesian period, Africans and whites had separate and different salary scales, with the rest of black workers considered as contract.
The Africans were having a different payroll to that of the European. The scales were different. And the Africans were not on a pension scheme. When you retired, you were given a lump sum as your retirement, and it was just one payment. The only Africans who qualified to be on a pension scheme were senior Africans, like the welfare officer in the case of Gweru, the welfare officer, and myself. So we're only two who qualified to join the pension scheme. That was the scenario when we started in Gweru 1978. The rest of us, the rest of the labor force, were simply a lot of them were considered as on contract.
The transition from Municipal Association of Southern Rhodesia to Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe was a process. Balancing the interests of the blacks and whites was not easy task for the first Secretary of Ucaz, Mr. Mombeshora. Reforms were undertaken which meant to ensure a balance capturing both the interests of African sections.
When we combined the three, the rural, the district, and the urban, we had to work towards achieving the same goal that the African, the European were only led by the same people.
Navigating the association from the racist regime to the inclusion of the black majority, who were previously segregated in the so-called African townships, was made easier courtesy of the training programs received by a number of black professionals from Domboshawa. The institution trained many local authority and government personnel, many of whom later became leaders, equipping them with relevant knowledge and skills that were critically needed to shape the local government development agenda. Many became national leaders, the most prominent being the late two vice presidents, Dr. Simon Vengesai Muzenda and Comrade John Landankomo. Most of town clerks, town secretaries, treasurers, and other professionals who were appointed to senior positions in local authorities soon after independence were a product of the Domboshawa Training Center. Mr. Charles Katiza and Comrade Julai Moyo were among some of the officials who worked with Ucaz during the early 1980s. Mr. Katiza was subsequently seconded to the International Union of Local Authorities Africa section. With his influence, a number of local government associations were either influenced or strengthened by Ucaz, chief among them being the South African Local Government Association SAUGA, the Local Government Association of Zambia, Botswana Local Government Association, the Local Government Association of Tanzania, the Association of Local Authorities of Namibia, and many others.
Ucaz in government circles has been quite effective. I can support that by saying when Ucaz requested the president of the nation to preside at one of its conferences, the president would oblige.
Ucaz presidium after independence to date is as follows. Masvingo's first black town clerk, Mr. Tsunga Morris Mangami, revealed that Ucaz became more prominent after the shift of the center of power in 1980, and the association became more concerned with addressing issues in local authorities, particularly in the so-called African townships. He, however, indicated that the transition after 1980 was not easy, despite the shift in the center of power, as some local authorities were still headed by the white town clerks who did not want to work under the black majority rule.
The spirit of racism still existed, but fortunately there were more blacks in council. So the whites knew the center was now controlled by blacks. It would be irresponsible for any white to believe that they can overturn the situation. So any resolutions which the whites did not want were passed through because the councils had black majority councillors. Where racism continued was particularly in the business, the commercial sector. The whites controlled all the shops, all the industries, all important things in the council. Blacks struggled to ensure that there was a balance to make sure that the council moved without any discrimination.
Mr. Adolf Gusha, the former town clerk for Masvingo City, who also started his career in the local government sector in 1987 before retiring in 2019, underscored that Ucaz and the different forums played a critical role, becoming a voice of the grassroots, local authorities and linking with the central government.
The various forums have played quite a critical role in articulating the views of the 32 local authorities, in articulating, by extension, the views of the people.
The first town secretary for Gwanda Town Council, Mr. Gilbert Mlilo, said that after independence, Ucaz successfully managed to transform itself from the local government association of Rhodesia to become a dynamic and vibrant association.
It was then agreed that Ucaz should be transformed into a vibrant body with a secretary general. Previously it was only secretary, and all the processes were done, and Joel Zoa, unfortunately I understand is late now, Joel Zoa became the first secretary general of the revamped Urban Councils Association, and I think he played a leading role. He laid a firm foundation for the transformation of Ucaz to what it is today. You know, personally, if it were possible really to identify something that could be named after Joel Zoa, I think it would be worth it. He did a lot to bring Ucaz to what it is today.
Dombosha principal, Mr. Joseph Wititi, said the training which was offered at the institute during the colonial era and independence became a pillar in producing local government practitioners who were modeled to make an impact in their cities and towns and beyond. The training center in 1964 assumed a national status. The training in local government increased the number of council secretaries passing through the center.
When we got into independence, the elementary local certificate in local government grew to become a national certificate in local government, then national diploma in local government, up to around 1989. These trainings were being offered under Domboshava as an institution, and it was now being run by central government, taken over from Mr. Kegwin. Over the years, different ministries had to, take over the responsibility of running Domboshava until when the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare took it over, and eventually the Public Service Commission. In 1994, we then had the University of Zimbabwe coming in to, provide quality assurance and certify the training in local government.
Gwanda Town Clerk Mrs. Priscilla Nkala, who became the first substantive black women town clerk for Gwanda municipality, said the Urban Councils Association had assisted women in local authorities to take up leadership positions, adding that through partnerships such as Gender Links, women have found their voice and space in the local government sector.
Ucaz really plays a very critical role in terms of lobbying for local authorities. For example, I can give the example of Gwanda municipality and Beitbridge municipality. For some time, our water was administered by Zinwa, and a lot of lobbying was taking place, and Ucaz really played a critical role in ensuring also that water administration is given to both local authorities. And also in terms of capacity building, we find that there are a lot of workshops that have been organized by Ucaz to ensure that leaders in local authorities are capacitated.
Further to that, she noted that Ucaz has also become a strong voice in advocacy and lobbying for local authorities and in promoting capacity building programs such as pushing for service delivery benchmarking and peer reviews.
By having an association like Ucaz, as local authorities, we learn a lot. We are able to exchange notes. At one point, we have the service level benchmarking process. Through that exercise, there were some peer reviews that were conducted in the key service delivery areas like water, sewer and refuse. So through that process, we were able to share signage with other local authorities, and we were able to benchmark our performance against other local authorities, and we are able also to learn some good practices from other local authorities.
Former town clerk for City of Bulawayo, Mr. Moffat Ndlovu, said the Town Clerks Forum became a link for the town clerks to share experience, challenges and successes, adding that the association played a key role in conflict resolution between councillors and management.
If there were issues, problems that we encountered, challenges that we encountered, I would then take them to the association. There were also times when there were conflicts. You know, the officer-councillor relationship was not always very easy. Sometimes it was very, very bad. So we would also do some conflict resolution. I would also do some conflict resolution as a town clerk. I remember there were problems in Harare, I intervened. There were problems in Zimbabwe, I intervened as chairman of the Town Clerks Forum.
Going forward, he underscored the need for Ucaz to enhance training programs of local government personnel in order to keep up with the dynamic developmental trends.
It should do more for local authorities. Encourage them, training them, you know. Training is not a once-off thing. It's periodic, it should continue. You know, your heads of departments, once elected, I think periodically they should undergo training. I think it's very, very important to keep up with the developments.
Ucaz past president between year 2000 and 2003 and first executive mayor for City of Gweru, Mr. James Bwerazua, said his executive worked hard in transforming Ucaz constitution, thereby creating a dynamic association anchored on lobbying, advocacy, research and training. The reforms brought in a new structure which led to the establishment of the first Secretary General post, which was occupied by the late Mr. Joe Big Boy Zoa.
When we came in, we made that transformation from a straightforward kind of administration to a lobbying group of mayors. And so the secretary for the office became then a general secretary of Ucaz. So we had to replace his previous position of just being secretary by another appointment. So there were now two secretary general, but being senior to the secretary of Ucaz. So we then have the secretary general now organizing the administration in terms of having so many other officers as he saw, needed in the office. So that was the structure of Ucaz. Ucaz was now changed.
We looked at the constitution of Ucaz so that we reshape it for the new challenges that we intended to pursue. That is the development of local government. And then we decided to transform that office into one headed by a Secretary General with specific terms of reference that sees Ucaz playing a new role in the new Zimbabwe that we had just entered. We then proceeded on policy making structures. We had the management manpower legal subcommittee, which was chaired by a mayor, which looked at issues to deal with management, manpower, and the legal affairs. And that is the committee serviced by the Town Clerks Forum. And that's how we then restructured the secretariat in terms of the Secretary General and the policy-making arm of Ucaz. The current Urban Councils Act
It came through the Town Clerks Forum, and then the Management Manpower Legal Subcommittee, which then submitted its recommendations to the ministry, now as a collective of urban local authorities, that this is how they would prefer the kind of legislation to administer them.
The former mayor for City of Bulawayo from 2013 to 2018, Alderman Martin Moyo, who also became Ucaz president in 2014 and 2015, said there is need for elected leaders to rise up above partisan politics and advance the interests of all citizens. He said during his tenure as president, focus was on ensuring sound leadership, which was anchored on equitable representation using the zebra selection style.
As president of Ucaz, I was supposed to provide leadership. I became president of Ucaz at a time when I think we still are very polarized politically. I remember that on my election, we had received, I came from the majority party in terms of Ucaz, and we had received strict instructions from the party that we were not going to vote anyone else who does not belong to the party. And I think when we went for that election to elect the president of Zilga, that is what happened. The effect of that was that we had a massive murmur, disgruntlement, people wanting to walk out of Zilga, particularly those that came from the minority party in terms of the Urban Councils Association. Now, I could not continue without the association. I needed to build the association. So I said, to hell with whatever instruction we might have received from the party. We are going to constitute a Zilga that is balanced. And so today in Zilga, I think whenever there is an election, I'm sure they are still probably carrying that out. There is what we call the zebra style. You elect from one party, seconded by the other party. One party, seconded by the other party. And that is what we did. So after that, there was harmony in Ucaz.
Adding to that, he noted that Ucaz played a critical role in advocating for the constitutionalism of local government sector with the Association of Rural District Councils under the Zilga banner during the 2013 national constitution making process.
I think Ucaz was seized with lobbying government for increased autonomy to municipalities and local authorities. And that was eventually captured in the 2013 constitution.
The chairperson of the Chamber Secretaries Forum, Mrs. Kangelen Jo, said the establishment of the forum has helped not only local authorities but even Ministry of Local Government and Public Works. Besides providing legal advice, the forum created synergies that ensured that local authorities are run smoothly through improved and well-run committee systems.
We make our input into that and make sure that advocates' papers are prepared and they have the necessary impact and they can produce the desired results. We also, as local government, as local authorities, are a mini government. We're a government at local level, and therefore we have a legislative function to form laws that we call bylaws, besides the policies that the councillors make. And it helps to govern the local authorities when there is a law that governs most areas that are provided for in the enabling legislation. So as a forum, we continuously produce what we call model bylaws, so that any council which feels they need to legislate on a particular issue, they can either adopt those model bylaws or adopt them with some amendments to suit the local area.
Mrs. Zhou added that female leaders in local authorities have pushed for gender mainstreaming and encouraging fellow women to take up leadership positions.
Most councils have been encouraged to be employers with equal opportunities for both men and women. And as we were doing our service level benchmarking, we introduced a component in the SLB benchmarks for gender mainstreaming. Gender mainstreaming has become a program in all local authorities that we continuously measure ourselves against each other and encourage for improvement.
First female town clerk for City of Kwekwe, Dr. Lucia Mkandla, who has more than 38 years experience in the local government sector, has seen it all. The Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe established the Women in Local Government Forum in 1999 to promote the participation of women in local government as well as build their capacity for leadership. After female councillors and female council officials lobbied for the creation of the forum to stimulate appetite among women to take leadership positions and create an environment where women leaders discuss their challenges and share experiences.
These processes, I would say, that those experiences then motivated us to think of forming a Women in Local Government Forum. We thought it was going to be ideal for women, the few women who were in the local government sector, to come together and be in a position to champion their cause and the causes of other women in a much more focused way.
Major successes have been registered, and besides establishing the forum, the Women in Local Government Forum drafted a gender policy which was adopted by the Zimbabwe Local Government Association, establishment of gender focal persons in each council to take care of gender audits in councils. The current chairperson of the Women in Local Government Forum, who is mayor for City of Kwekwe, Her Worship Councillor Future Titora, appreciated His Excellence, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, for granting the 30% quota system for women at local government level. She also saluted Ucaz for continuous capacity building training programs which are designed to motivate women to take up leadership positions and to enhance their skills.
Ipapo ndinopa kutenda kuna President vakatipa 30% quota because vakabva vangoisa semutemo kuti hapana pinda ipapo even kuana baba avakwanise kupinda ipapo. Saka tinonzwa kufara nekusimudzira kwatakaitwa na President wenyika kuti madzimai tasimudzira. Saka madzimai takupindawo mumapositions tisina kukwidzwa naana baba ne 30 quota iyoyo yatakapiwa.
It was a major breakthrough which resulted in the amendment of Section 277 of the Constitution to provide that there should be 30% of the total membership of the council being women representatives who are coming through a proportional representation based on the votes that their various political parties would have gained in the election. So for us, that was a big breakthrough.
I'm quite happy that we now have those universities, those institutions where we have young women coming up. There could be even geographical information systems. So whatever, even engineers as well. I think we have had women engineers. So in whatever service delivery related studies. So I think it's encouraging that we are beginning to have young ladies, young women who are coming up. So really, local government studies can be handled by any, irrespective of whether you are male or female.
The former mayor of city of Harare, Muchade Masunda, who also became the co-president of the United Cities and Local Government World Body, said the association has made international linkages, but going forward there is need for all local authorities to have the right individuals in place, that elected representatives should also focus on service delivery instead of party politics.
So people need to be realistic, about their individual capacities, to serve. Because I know it's been a perennial issue, this question of the caliber of councillors, and therefore the cumulative total, the combined effect of whatever capacities the councillors have, then reflect on how well the city is going to be run or not run.
He further implored all local authorities to resuscitate the old vocational bursaries, which are key in development of intellectual capacity.
The resuscitation of old vocational bursaries that used to be run by a number of cities. Simbarashimangwengwende is one of the best examples of the kind of thing I'm talking about. Today, he's a world-class electrical engineer, but he's a beneficiary of a city electrical engineers department vocational scholarship that saw him through his studies at the University of Zimbabwe, and after completing his degree in electrical engineering, he was obliged to serve the city electrical engineers department for the equivalent number of years during which we were sponsored at university. So what we should do is, given the umpteen universities that we have, we should, as cities, sponsor students through those various courses.
Ucaz Secretary General, Mr. Mutekede, and the President are of the same view that the association is poised for growth and robust engagement, training programs that will add value to all the local authorities.
The association grew in stature from just being an advocacy, but to also a development institution that works towards programming for development within our membership. This is seen as starting firstly with capacity building of our membership, and also through smart partnerships, which saw the establishment of the Economic Consultative Forum, which I think you should know, and Ucaz is one of the members, the founding members of this forum, and which brought together government, labor, and business. The program on city diplomacy was very important in actually bringing dialogue to the local level. After the smart partnership, but dialogues that were at the national level, the association spearheaded dialogue platforms through the city diplomacy program, which cascaded to all our cities. And this was important because cities, by their nature, are closest to the people, and they had to work with the people in establishing this dialogue, and it's also establishing the needs of the people at the local level. Then we also went beyond the local level, decentralization, to also a regional level in our programming. We had a program on strengthening transnational partnerships, where we work with other associations outside our borders. This is seen as also learning from our counterpart association within the region. And beyond the region also, we've collaborated with other associations. This is seen as also as an association being relevant and bringing our service provision to a global competitiveness level, whereby we are striving to be or to produce services that meet with global standards.
We looked at the Constitution and amended some section of it
there was a general perception that it was involving a lot of mayors in terms of execution of some of its programs. Then we thought we should include even councillors at provincial level.
This organization is very important and very key in the delivery of service. Here we are, an association that is key in service delivery, key in issues to do with water, key in issues to do with all the services that people need at home. So I then said we need to make sure that the organization changes from the way it has been operating so that it benefits and it becomes more relevant and more known by the people. We had to make sure that ordinary councillors can also be part of the presidium so that issues to do with councillors can also be looked into not only by mayors but by also councillors. We had also to come up with provincial chapters so that at least each provincial chapter can look at the challenges that are affecting the local authorities within those areas. It has been a challenge for the presidium to deal with all the issues that needs to be dealt with the whole country, with all the 32 urban local authorities. So we had to come up with chapters so that at least whatever is discussed in the presidium, they would have come from the provincial chapters. There is going to be ownership of the association by the entire councillors in the country.
We had an opportunity to hold an endeavor with the head of state, His Excellency, interacting with us in various areas affecting the country. That interaction assisted us a lot in trying to understand what is really happening on the global side of the economy. So that event was a success. When there was a cyclone Idai in Nyasaland, we intervened and assisted the government in a big way. We constructed a road, some stretch of the road and a bridge as local authorities, assisting our central government in a situation where people there were in dire need. Then on the philanthropy side, as Ucaz, we are very much affected by children living and working in the streets. We decided to take them on board and rehabilitate them. In pursuit of that, we went down Chambuta, engaged the First Lady through Angel of Hope, and we rehabilitated Chambuta refugee camp into a state-of-the-art children's home, where we are now taking our children to when we pick them up from the streets. Having created Chambuta, we realized that children there, of course, academically they are excelling. We have some of them in the universities, some of them doing well in some other schools. But we realized that the majority of them, the moment they get to 18 years, they have nowhere to go. So we decided that we create a vocational center in Nyangombe, somewhere in Nyanga. There we've been there. What is left is to do groundbreaking ceremony. Local authorities have already adopted some homes there, some houses and various other projects which they've taken aboard and have even made some resolutions at their level so that construction there begins in earnest. So as we go forward, there's need for a lot of capacitation from the policy-making side, even our technical staff, so that
we give the best service delivery to the nation.
So, as the association celebrates 100 years for Mr. Mlilo, it's a job well done to all the former and current foot soldiers.
It is important to recognize the contribution of those who have actually remained in local authority, even those who have left, because working in local authorities, urban local authorities, is not an easy job. You are, I don't know that you should use insulted, for want of a better word, left, right, and center, even where you have not done anything wrong. You have to be resilient, you have to be strong. So those who have remained really must actually be congratulated for carrying on under very difficult circumstances.
The Centenary is a milestone for the Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe. It marks 100 years of continuous and innovative service delivery by our members, our 32 strong membership at the moment. We are celebrating that achievement, which has seen our local authorities being very competitive in terms of providing services to the people of Zimbabwe.
I would like to congratulate our membership that Ucaz has attained 100 years of existence, and we have managed to be part and parcel of Ucaz up to this point, making it grow and continue to grow. Let me also wish that those coming after us will keep Ucaz intact and going forward.
On behalf of the Urban Councils Association of Zimbabwe, I would like to congratulate our members, stakeholders, and partners for attaining 100 years as a united voice for organized local government in Zimbabwe. Makorokoto, Amhlope, congratulations. I thank you.